Say less than what you think you need to say when someone gets in your face, challenges you, constantly is interrupting you in meetings. And here's why: because you've got to learn the art form of going deep. DEEP is an acronym that I want to share with you and has everything to being very clear and having this sense of freedom, agency, autonomy, and this I'm just going to sit back kind of feeling that everything is good. And this is something you need in your next meeting. You need this for the next phone call where someone is going off on you and you can't take it. Okay? So, get your AI assistant. If you are leading an employee resource group, this is the video you want to watch in your next meeting. All right. I'll see you on the inside where I might be saying more, but really truly saying less. Okay. I'll see you on the inside. Let me paint the scenario that would often happen. Someone would challenge me in a meeting, and I would immediately go right on in, explaining, defending, justifying, telling, oh, you gonna learn today kind of mentality, reviewing all of my receipts to make certain that they are verified and I did have the money, okay? And the title, okay? And the success, But after I would do those things and I would walk away from those situations, I hated how I feel. I did not like losing myself. Or some of you are like, I don't do that at all. I just sit there and I just listen and I let people just railroad me. I just let people say whatever they have to say and then I just get out of the situation because I don't like conflict. Or some of you are really just feeling like you want to just please everyone and you don't want anything to happen. So you're willing to take the brunt. You're willing to take the blame. You're willing to take over and say, hey, everybody, let's just all like be happy and joyful. And it's not that big of a deal. Come on, let it go. And I want to say in all of those situations, I really want us all to go deep. I want us all to go deep and I want us to have like a Joni mentality, Joni, a Joni mentality. That's my mother. And I don't know about y'all, but I was raised with a mom who, when she said what she said, that was it. Like, and she didn't even need to say anything more. All she needed to do was look our way. And there was this energy that I felt inside of my soul that this isn't where I want to go with her, right? And I thought my mom had some sort of special power. Like, who is this woman? She's just like this amazing superwoman that Alicia Keys talks about. I am superwoman. Yes, she was. She was superwoman because she could make people stop all of the funky things that they were doing, just like that, right? And and to be honest with you, I just like, how do you do that? Now, granted, there was some, probably when we were very, very little, she got us in line with a switch, but we can't use switches, right? And if you don't know what a switch is, then look it up. But I'm just telling you that we want to have this power, this authentic power that when we go into situations, we're so clear about who we are, what we are saying, what we need to come across. And this doesn't come in the actual meeting. Now, I'm going to give you the deep acronym, but what you need to work on is the things behind the scenes, how you talk to yourself, how you show up for yourself, how you're investing in yourself. What do you believe about yourself? All of those variables make a big difference in order for you to be able to apply the deep analogy. You picking up what I'm laying down? Because I feel like there's a lot of us who don't have that surety. We don't have that strength. And I'm not saying you get up there and be like, I'm going to show you and disregard with a knife cutting everybody as you go along. That's not what I'm talking about either. I'm talking about this sense of assurance that's somewhat spiritual, that allows you to be able to go deep into situations where you are not swayed, you are not moved, you are not taking things personal, you are not assuming anything. You are clear on what you are saying and you feel very good about it. And you walk away with this feeling of, this is, y'all want to go get something to eat? I mean, you can just like walk away from that and just feel good about it, right? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I want to talk about deep. Okay, some of you don't understand that kind of freedom. So go ahead and get your AI assist in and get this note taking going because we're going to go deep into this conversation and I want to go one by one. Okay, first, deep is an analogy. So when someone comes to you and says something to you, what I don't want you to do is defend. Let me get my glasses on so I can read this. Okay, I don't want you to defend yourself. Okay, this is the idea when someone challenges you, you feel like you're constantly on the defense and you don't owe them a defense. Full stop. Because who says you owe something to someone? And if you feel like you're on the defense, you don't need to be. Because when you're clear about who you are and what you need to say, defense is not needed. That's something that you've learned, right? And I know as an attorney that we have to defend our clients zealously, right? And there is a place for that. But in this particular situation, when someone, you don't need to defend your position. Okay. Full stop. You may say, Diana, well, what do I do? Okay. Well, let's go to the next one. And now I won't go through each one. Give me a second. And I want to talk about whatever questions you have. Okay. Second, don't explain. Now, what do I mean by that? Explanation is only useful. Here it is. It's only useful when someone actually wants to understand you. If they don't, you're explaining. You're not explaining, you're performing. How do I know when someone really wants to understand, Diana? It's all on the way they ask questions. So, Diana, I appreciate what you're saying. I'm just not clear about this one particular point because in the past, what we've done is blah, 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 blah. But you're saying something else. I want to know, how does that work when something like this happens? Oh, okay, sure. Let me tell you. I get that scenario. You see, there's a marriage, kind of like this, I would say marriage, like this communication flow. Instead of, that's not good at all. That's really not a smart way to look at things, right? I don't think that's fair, and I don't like it at all. So, what kind of harebrained idea is that? What are you trying to say? No. Okay. Right? Someone's criticizing you for and really making it personal to your character. No. And you might reposition it to say, well, it's unfortunate that you feel that way, and I am not that way. So if you'd like to rephrase the question, I'm happy to answer it. Or if you decide, I don't have to explain, it is what it is. Period, full stop. Picking up what I'm laying down? Okay. And you might be sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, that's how this situation is all the time, right? If you can hear a conversation, a person, a circumstance, I want you to pause the video and I want you to talk about it, or I want you to write it down so you don't lose it. Okay. Let's go into the second E in deep. It is don't engage. Okay, here we go. Bad faith questions don't deserve good faith answers. Listen to this. And I think this is so deep. Yanaya wrote this. She's our writer here at the Rise 53 in the Rise movement. She said, you're allowed to let something land without catching it. So you could kind of hear the spice in the last scenario of, not having to catch it. Uh, some people are there to just create problems. They thrive off of it. And so often you can get entwined in their web when you engage in it. And here's one rule I have really applied in my life that, for example, and this is just an example, this is not that happens all the time, but like when people are protesting, right? They're outside and they're protesting a particular issue. That's not the time to sit down and have an engaging conversation. I'm going to let that go ahead and land, and I don't have to catch that right now. And I'm not saying that protesting is bad. I'm just saying in that type of environment, it's not the time to sit down and engage with dialogue. Typically, protesting is allowing people to speak their mind without having to have someone come back and share something to them. It's free speech. It's allowing people, and there could be some bad things that we're saying in there. Bad questions typically are about criticizing people, putting other people down. It's not productive. It's disrespectful, all the things that you can think of. So I wouldn't engage with those situations, right? And you would say, how am I going to be able to do that, Diana? Because sometimes it tastes like it's like a personal attack. But is it? And that's what takes us to our P in deep. Don't personalize it. See, because the thing is don't you know you? Like you know yourself. You know yourself so well. Other people don't. And often they don't have the right to personalize you in their particular web. So I want to read what this says. It says, what someone says about you in a hard moment, in a hard moment, right, is more about what's happening to them than anything true about you. So don't carry what isn't yours. That's a powerful statement. You see, you can't do this deep stuff without doing a lot of the things that we talk about in our Rise Advocates Academy, in our Rise 53 Inner Circle, and in our newsletters. This work, this deep work takes a deep person. It takes a person who's very sure, right? And I want to give you a book. This is a book you probably heard of if you're in these leadership streets, in these deep leadership streets a lot, called The Four Agreements. Be impeccable with your words. Don't make assumptions. Don't take anything personal, and to always do your best. By John Louise, by, wow, that name just escaped me. Don Ruiz, Ruiz. I got it out. How about that? I didn't even have to look it up. So that's a book that I first read. I was like, how am I going to do that? How am I going to not take it personal? Well, Diana, once you start to understand that this is all, when people say those kinds of things, they don't have nothing to do with you. This is really about a person who might be disturbed. This is the person who didn't get a lot of sleep the night before. This is a person who has a lot of ego. This is a person who's pretty puffed up with this power that they're trying to yield by putting other people down. Like once you start to study this stuff, you will see the scenarios playing out. That's why it's called deep, right? Because this is where you could say less. I'm not saying you don't say anything at all. I'm saying say less so that you can be felt more. If and when it's time, you pull that person aside and have a conversation in a particular way, right? Having that in a particular meeting, you could certainly learn the art, and which is what I teach our academy graduates in our Rise 53 Inner Circle, is to have a list of scenarios. If, say, for instance, someone disrespects you in the middle of a meeting and they're constantly cutting you off, then you can say less, get quiet, and look at them and say, I realize that you want to keep talking, that you might have a lot to say, but in this particular situation, I'm going to respect your time to talk and you're going to respect mine. So perhaps you may want to put a timer on to allow yourself the time and to allow myself the time. But we won't be disrespecting one another in this type of conversation. If you choose to continue to do that, then we will need to end the conversation and reschedule it for a time where you believe that you can honor the space and respect one another. Does that sound good to you? Okay, great. So this is something that I really think all of us need to learn. You need to say, for instance, you're like, well, Diana, there's so and so who keeps doing this. Okay. Then you have to have the courage to be able to say something like that, right? To be able to share that. And then, or if, say, for instance, you don't have the energy that day, then say less because you ain't got the energy. Then say it at another time. Okay. We also have another acronym in our community that we call PASSION, which is to pause, assess, get some space, and then speak, to gain insight, to become open, and to gain knowledge. That's a whole conference that we talk about passion, because passion means in Greek, the root, in Latin, means to suffer and endure, right? To have a passionate way of doing something. And I am not saying this work is easy. I'm saying this work is deep. I'm saying this work is challenging. It's work that will provide you a sense of surety, confidence, and ease inside of your body, a freedom that you are who you say you are. And when you walk into your room and you say what you say, you feel the authenticity within your heart coming through. This is the type of work that I like to work with our women through the Rise Advocates movement. And if you're not familiar with this work, everything that we do is about being able to speak with a sense of authenticity, with a clear, sound biology that garners visibility, a sense of executive presence, and a nervous system and identity that's completely intact, right? Isn't that powerful? It's very rare that I hear people talk about leadership, nervous system, and biology because they're all intertwined. When you get your biology and your nervous system in symmetry and your identity is intact, you are able to lead with an executive presence and a metabolic, presence that's strong. And I'm all about building strong leaders with muscle, movement, mobility, mindset, and meditation, and all through menopause, all the M's. Does this sound like something that you are excited about? Right? I think I want us to go get excited because we can travel through life going through difficult times. This is not always going to be easy, right? It's not always going to be easy. So you got to have some things that you're doing behind the scenes that are going to help you do this deep work. You picking up what I'm laying down? And one of the things that a lot of us need to do is we need to get some movement into our lives. We need to get some movement into our lives. So I want to be able to share this with you because I just truly believe a lot of us need to move more. Um, get our muscles moving, get our mind moving. And these are some of the things that help us as we are processing this information. So if you are interested in learning more strategies of behind the scenes, let's connect. Because I want to first, number one, make certain that you're in our ecosystem, you're in our community. So the first thing that I would do, if you are that serious executive woman who's like, this means something to me, then I want you to take our executive biology audit. It's only going to take you about 15 minutes to be able to complete, and you're going to be able to get this free assessment that's going to help you understand how you're actually doing with your executive presence, how you are handling the pressure and the load of being an executive woman. The second thing that I would love for you to do is subscribe. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Subscribe to our Authentic Power Strategies on LinkedIn. That's where we spend a lot of time. And then on Instagram, I get a little even spicier, and I talk to you more about my bodybuilding and all the things that I'm doing to reshape my body. And it gives you a little bit more personality into Diana and to me personally. But this is a movement. We are here to reach 100,000 women to come into our Rise Advocates movement. We hope that you're one of them. Again, this is for executive women who are ready to rise with a sense of authenticity, understanding how their biology, identity, and nervous system helps to create an executive, authentic presence so they can do their greatest work. Does this sound good to you? All right, we look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, keep rising and keep saying less and go deep.